Hello, good morning. I'm going over the syllabus for Calculus 1, so Math 6A, Fall 2024. Let me go to my paper view here. Oh, paper view. Okay, so you have a copy of the syllabus, and here's the syllabus. It's for Math 6A. CRN 70848, Fall 2024. I don't know if I already said this, but if I didn't, my name is Donna Starr. This is my phone number. This is my email address. This is my office. These are my office hours. And our class is kind of crazy because it starts every day at 11:10, so that's good because it's not got multiple different start times. But it ends different times, 12 o'clock, 12:15, 12 o'clock, 12:15, short and long days. You'll get used to it. I have office hours right after class on Monday and Wednesday, and on Tuesday, a little bit of time in between. I think that's called the common hour, and then office hours there. And important dates about the class: the first day of school, August 26th, September 8th, the last day to withdraw from a semester length class without receiving a W, October 25th, the last day to drop and receive a W, and our final exam is December 11th at 10 to 11:50. And so the catalog description, I'm required to put it on there. Something that happens quite often with students in calculus is that later on they will, sometimes even years later, will email me and say, hey, I need the syllabus for the class I took with you, and I think it was, fall 2024. And the reason that they need it is for articulation with a four-year school. And so I really recommend that you stick your STEM syllabuses, maybe for all classes, that stick them away just in case you need them, or scan them and have them on a flash drive or whatever have you. That's probably even better, huh? And so I actually will have the syllabus on Canvas, so you could download it onto a flash drive. And then the SLOs, these are some policies with attendance, and so our class is, well, at the filming of this anyway, it has just one person on the wait list. But if there are people on the wait list waiting to get into the class, and there are people who are absent during the first 2 weeks of class, I'm required to drop them to let the people who are on the wait list into the class. And so I don't think that's going to be a problem this semester, but if a lot of people add on to the wait list, then I will definitely need to do that during the semester. So I think this is where we're going to be. If you're late or absent, or you leave early, that counts as an absent. So if you're not there when roll is taken, and it can be taken at any time, then you're counted as absent. And I'm supposed to keep really careful track, and if you're absent more than the equivalent of 8 days, and they don't have to be consecutive days, then I'm supposed to drop you from the course. And this is from the federal financial aid guidelines. And so I do note that sometimes, though, I mean, I do my absolute best, but there's quite a few of you to keep track of and whatnot. And so it has happened in the past that a person was absent and I didn't get them dropped, and they really were wanting to be dropped, and we went to the office to try to get it cleared up, and they explained to me that it wasn't my responsibility. Of course, I try to make everything right if possible, but it's kind of nice that it is your responsibility and not my responsibility to drop a class. This is FERPA is just informing you that I am not to talk to your family or your friends about your grade in the class, which I think probably is a good thing, and doesn't seem like an appropriate thing. Anyway, and so anyway, so a lot of times students will even have, I've had lots of times people have their mother or their father come down and talk to me, and I'm not allowed to talk to them. And so, anyway, just so you know. And then the materials that are needed for the class are the textbook, and we're currently using Calculus, the ninth edition by James Stewart. This is what the book looks like. Be careful of, there's books that are, I'm going to back up a little bit just so you can see the whole book. There are books that are early transcendentals, and there's books that don't mention about if they're early transcendentals or not. And our book is not early transcendental, so it doesn't even mention anything about it. But he has a ninth edition of a book that kind of looks similar, and it says early transcendentals. Now, so just be a little bit careful on that. This is the instructor's book, so also know that that's all I have to show you. And so anyway, now I'm going to zoom back in. Going wrong way on my Zoom. You don't need the access code, so Cengage has an access code, although I'm okay with you having the online version of the book. I've had lots of people have the online version of the book, and I'm fine with that. And then you're allowed to use a calculator, but it can only be a scientific calculator. And any calculator you have laying around is okay. If you don't have a calculator laying around, you cannot use a graphing calculator, you cannot use your cell phone as a calculator, and you can't share materials with your neighbor. If you don't have a calculator already, I recommend Casio's. This Casio FX 115 ES Plus, one of my favorite calculators, and it will do great for calculus. The other one that will do great for calculus, although I think that if I was getting one, I'm going the wrong way. The 300 is a little bit cheaper, but there's a few things that it won't do that the 115 will do. So I find myself, particularly in Calc 3, having this calculator, the 300, available to me, and realizing I want the 115 and having to search my house for a 115. The 991 Casio is ClassWiz on there is the same. So I'm trying to get it where you can see the 991. It says ClassWiz there, and Casio is the same as the 115. It has slightly different buttons that you push, but I haven't noticed any difference in what they have. This calculator is okay to use too. If this is the one that you have, I've had people be successful with it. You cannot put things in and see them the same way that you put them in here. So you put them in this Casio calculator exactly the way you want, and you can get the information out exactly the way you want. That is not the case on the TI 30X. So if you don't know your unit circle and your trig is weak and whatnot, I really recommend the Casio calculator, because it's going to help you with that. So even if you have the TI 30, now the only reason you might be saying, if it's such an awful calculator, why do you have it, is that when students go and buy this Casio, a lot of times they will donate to me their TI 30 so that I can have for students that don't have a calculator at all. So it's better than nothing. And I wouldn't buy a TI 30, but that's the reason I get them, is that students think it's funny to, you talked me into it, and so here you can have my TI 30. So I actually have, those are my loaner calculators that I loan out. So I have quite a few of them. Okay, and then some things about classroom etiquette. I know that it might not seem like, if you're looking at your cell phone or texting on your cell phone or whatever you're doing on your cell phone, that it might not be disrupting anybody else. That just involves me. But studies have really shown that it actually it's disruptive to your classmates. It makes it hard for them to pay attention and for them to concentrate as well. And that's kind of my job, is to make sure that there's a learning environment going. And so I'm going to ask you to put your cell phone away and put it on silent in your backpack while we're in class. And then academic dishonesty And so here's a whole bunch of things about academic dishonesty. You know these things, but during an exam, it's academic dishonesty to use your cell phone for any reason. And I'll be reminding you of that, to use an app on your computer or on your phone, like Chegg or Photomath, to use a graphing calculator, to look at another student's paper, to share your work with another student. So sometimes people think that if they sit and let the person next to them copy off of them, that they're not cheating or not being involved in the academic dishonesty, but they really are. They're just as guilty as the student who's copying. And it is also academic dishonesty, you might not know, to leave the classroom during an exam. I am required to proctor you while you're taking an exam, and if you leave the classroom, I cannot proctor you, because I would then be leaving the 34 students that were still in the classroom, so they would be unproctored, and there's only one of me. And so during an exam, we all have to stay in the classroom until we're done with our exam. It's also academic dishonesty to use notes that are written on your desk, on your paper, on your skin, on your clothing, on your drink container, on your calculator, etc. And so a lot of times students will put it in their calculator or in spots, and they'll tell me that they did not know. And so I want this to be your warning on that. And when you're taking an exam, I ask you that you take your notebook, your backpack, your cell phone, your textbooks, your purse, all of those things, and you put them in your, they're not allowed on your desk while you're taking your exam, that you put them in your backpack on the floor at your feet, and not pick them up until you've turned your exam in. And when a computer does your math problems, it uses an algorithm that is different than what a human would use, and it's very obvious in its academic dishonesty, particularly in calculus. It's really funny the way sometimes the computer algorithms do the problems. And in fact, we'll be looking at some of them. It's really funny. So just a note about Title V, the Community College Board of Governors in Title V recommends 2 to 3 hours of studying for each hour of class. And actually for a STEM class like calculus, they're leaning more towards 3 hours is what they're leaning for. And so we have 4 hours a class a week-ish. And so that would be times 2 times 3 would be 8 to 12 hours of studying outside of class. I have a STEM assistant that will help you outside of class. I will also help you outside of class. And there's also the Math Learning Center that will help you outside of class. And there's Mesa that will help you outside of class. And there is, I think they call an AEW that will also help you. I'll have all these people come and introduce themselves. And anyway, so you have lots of help outside of class, and if you're getting stuck. And so while you're working by yourself, learning your material, you have ways of getting help. And so just the comment, math's not hard, math is time consuming. If you put the effort into it, the time into it, you'll notice that you can be successful in this class. If somebody helps you with a problem, then it's a good idea, not just a good idea, you should make sure that you can do that problem solo at a later time. And so even if you try the same problem. Okay, so there in the class are 12 take-home labs. I count your highest 12 out of 15. So there's actually 15 of them, and they're 15 points each. And I count your best 12. I hope 12 times 15 is 180. And then there's 5 exams at 110 points, 1 final review at 50 points, and 1 final exam at 220 points. And then that adds up to 1,000. And this is how I calculate your letter grade. And so just on sheer points. Then some more information about labs. And so there are 3 labs per unit. The due dates for the labs are on the daily plan. I'll be showing you that. You can turn a lab in early. This is something important to know, but I do not take labs late. And so I do not accept late labs. I will take them early. If you're unable to turn in a lab on time because of any reason, family emergency, jury duty, sickness, car accident, you forgot it at home, you had another class or an athletic event, you got a flat tire, whatever it is, whatever the reason, you'll receive a 0 on that lab, and it can be your drop lab. If you are not in class on the day of the lab is due, you may turn the lab in early. So if you already know that you're not going to be on class when the lab is due, you can turn it in early, or you can ask someone else to bring the lab for you. I have so many times people's friend or their sibling or their parent bring a lab in to me and turn it in before the due date, so that which is very nice of your friend. Or you can scan your lab as a PDF and turn it in by email as an attachment. So I really prefer that it is a PDF, and all in one attachment is really, really helpful. And if it's a JPEG, I can't open it. And so a lot of times people send it in the wrong format, and I won't be able to open it because of the school's firewall. Anyway, I must receive your lab before the due time. Email your lab to, and there's my email address. It's also on the front of the syllabus. If your lab is not readable or in the wrong format so that I cannot open it to grade it, then you'll receive a 0 on that lab. Each lab has problems to solve, and you can show your work, which means it's a drop lab, right? Show your work in the space provided. The labs are based on class notes, assigned homework. Doing the homework daily will help you be successful on the labs, and I have provided all of the solutions to the textbook homework to you. I do not collect that textbook homework. It is small points, 0 points. Labs are small points, 15 points each, but they add up, those labs, and so you want to really chase those small points and chase the homework that I don't collect, and you can go and you can look and see if you did it right, because I have provided you with the solutions on Canvas. You may work with others on the lab. Make sure that you redo any problem that someone helps you with to make sure you can do it solo. And copying answers from another student or an app is academic dishonesty. Every now and then I walk in and I see someone just copying somebody else's lab, and that is academic dishonesty. And so you'll receive a 0 on the lab for doing that. And so you don't want to do that. It's not learning either. It wasn't what the labs were designed for. Exam dates are on the daily plan because exams need to be controlled, and because they serve as the key means of evaluation in the course, it is important that you take exams at scheduled times. If you are absent due to illness, jury duty, family emergency, etc., whatever the reason, you'll receive a 0 for that exam. You may retake one exam on makeup day, and so there's your saving grace if you have to be absent because you're sick, is that you can take an exam on makeup day. Note, you may not retake an exam that you received a 0 on because of academic dishonesty. So if you received a 0 on one of your exams because of academic dishonesty, it cannot be your makeup exam. Exams are done in person, face-to-face. Exams are challenging. Exams are your opportunity to show your mastery of the material, and you may not work with others. It is in your strongest self-interest to be well prepared as possible for exams. Exams consist of computational questions that are very similar to class notes, assigned textbook homework, and lab assignments. Each exam will only test material covered in the current unit. However, the nature of the course is that new material continually builds upon skills learned in previous units. Concepts and skills learned in early chapters of the textbook are the foundation for later chapters. Exams are timed, and the time allotted for each exam is 50 minutes. Then a note about the final review. It's cumulative, and it's due before you take the final exam. And I guess I put the date of the final exam there. And you may turn it in early, just like a lab. And you may work with others on the final review, just like a lab. And then a note about the final exam. It's cumulative. That's by state law that it's required to be cumulative. All college classes are to have a cumulative final exam. It's recommended that students prepare for the final exam by reviewing class notes, assigned homework, labs, exams, and the final review. So of course you would study your final review when you were studying for your final exam. And then a note about incomplete grades that I'll let you read. And then to decide borderline grades, so this is how I decide borderline grades, is I have some extra credit, and I have more extra credit opportunities than what you're allowed to earn. So the maximum extra credit that you can earn is 20 points. And so sometimes at the end of the semester, a person will have earned 30 points, say, and they'll say to me, you know, why did you even have this many if I can only earn a maximum of 20 points to be counted towards my grade? And the reason is that if I only allowed you to have 20 points and I only offered 20 points worth, then some people would have 17 and some people would have 15 and some people would have 10 and some people would have 5. By having more extra credit points, it gives everyone the opportunity to get the full extra credit points that they're allowed to keep. So that's the reason that I have extra ones. Then I have a place where that you could store your grades so that you could calculate your own grade in the class as you go along. So for Unit 1, there are 3 labs and a test. And for Unit 2, there are 3 labs and a test, and etc. all the way to Unit 5. And I will be showing you how to calculate your grade after each unit exam, and so that you could kind of get an idea of where you stand in the class and what your letter grade would be if the class was over right then. And then at the end of the semester, this is a place where you can store your extra credit. That's when I count up your extra credit. I actually put this on Canvas for you so that you can see. I guess I didn't note that it's on Canvas here in the syllabus, but it will be on Canvas. Oh yeah, I did. Here it is. It's on Canvas. So I will post your lab total, your exam total, your final review, which you'll have turned in your final review the day of the final exam. So you won't know what you scored on it until you look on Canvas, and then you will know. And then also your final exam, you'll turn it in, and then you won't come back to class. And so your grade that you earned on the final exam will be posted on Canvas. And then after I calculate this, right, and I add up your points, then I add your extra credit to move you over, hopefully over a borderline. And so anyway, so that then I add your extra credit on, and your extra credit will also be on Canvas. So, and then this is how I calculate your letter grade, and so by points. And then this is, I'm required to put the plan for each unit, and I reserve the right to make changes or corrections, and so I really didn't have to do that. I don't really have to do that usually, but during COVID I did, so it's really good that I made we were told to make a note that if we have to, we'll make corrections to be fair, and so anyway, so this is what we're going to be covering on Monday, week 1. We're going to go over the syllabus and 1.1. And then on Tuesday, we're going to finish 1.1, and Wednesday, we're going to do 1.2 from your textbook, and I'll show you the note packet. And then on Wednesday of week 4 is when we'll have our first exam, and etc. So it goes on and just shows you. I don't put dates on things, because if I put dates, then I would be wrong. Like this is, August 26th right here, August 26th, 27, 28, 29, and then I would likely put that as 30 when it's not, of course. And so I've just stopped putting dates on things so that they're not all wrong, and just refer to things by what week they are in the semester. And so there's week 4, week 5, and then we have a day to review on the end times in week 15, and then makeup day, that's the day that you can take an exam again. So if you missed an exam, you'll be here taking that exam. If you did poorly on an exam and wanted to retake the exam, you could sign up. You get 1 exam to retake again. And then your final exam, here it is on Wednesday from 10 to 11:50, and we don't have regular class during finals week, just the final exam. Okay, and then these are notes that I was asked to put on there by the college. So this first note is about DSPS, and Calculus 1 is an entry level math class for STEM. I mean, as far as if you were in STEM, it would be the first math class that you were put into. And so a lot of people in the class, not everyone, but a lot of people in the class will be first-time BC students. And so they might not have had an opportunity to go to DSPS and get the accommodations they need. And so, you remember when I told you that exams were 50 minutes long, and you probably noticed, maybe you noticed, that it showed more than 50 minutes right here when we were taking our exam. And you might wonder, well, why? Well, the reason is the most a common accommodation that's given to students is time and a half on an exam, which would be 50 minutes, and then half of 50 minutes is 25 minutes, and 50 plus 25 would be 75 minutes. So that would be allowed 75 minutes. And so I just assume, because a lot of people haven't maybe got their accommodation, and so I just give everyone the 75 minutes right there in class. And so anyway, so that's kind of the reason on that. And so anyway, so you can read through all of these things. There's pages of them, and of course you don't have to read quickly or stop your video because you have this handout. And so all of these syllabus statements that come from the college, they used to put them in a handbook. And then I wanted to show you the note packet, and so here's the note packet, and you notice that I have that schedule for Unit 1 on the note packet. I don't have the whole schedule just in case it changes or whatever have you. And if you wanted to, you could come in here and you could put dates on there, but I don't. I just go by, and we have a holiday, Monday, week 2. And I just go by what week it is, and so this kind of tells us what we're going to be doing for the first unit, and so we'll be going over the notes for 1.1, etc. I thought I had on here when the labs were due. I do. So lab 1 is due Wednesday of week 3. Lab 2 is due Tuesday of week 4. And lab 3 is due Wednesday of week 4. And so I try to give you plenty of time to do those labs. And so I have a lab. I'm not going to show you because I'm going to show you. I have some answers on this one. I don't have it, but here's here's the lab 1, and and so that's the lab that I'm passing out to you on the first day and is due here on week 3. Very soon you'll be getting lab 2 as well, and so it's done, but it's not photocopied at this time as I'm speaking, and also lab 3. And so that you can be working on the labs at the same time. Of course, you can turn in labs early. And so one thing I will say that sometimes people turn in a lab early and they think that I'm going to grade it early, and I don't. I grade labs all at one time. And so if you turn it in early, I have a folder for it. And then when the due date comes, I try to, Monday night, I'll be trying to grade those labs and to give them back. My goal is on Tuesday, and worst case scenario, Wednesday. And so anyway, so that's kind of the story on that. I think that's me going over the syllabus. I hope. I gotta run because I have a meeting, so I need to stop recording. 28 minutes, and going over the syllabus in my algebra classes was a little bit longer than that. So what did I not say? I know that you can read the syllabus. And you can come and ask questions, of course, of me. Okay, stop recording.